But let's welcome on board Jaspal Bindra, the Executive Chairman at the Centrum Group, joining us on the show right now. Jaspal, hi, morning. Good to have you on the show. You've been looking to sell that 15-20% stake in the credit vertical. What really is the rationale behind for this deal, and what are the timelines that you're looking at?
Yeah, we believe that now is a very good time to be well capitalized. We remain so today with very low leverage, but we think going forward that will be a big differentiator. And we think in the course of the next few months, we will be exploring those options.
Okay. Jaspal, you've also recently acquired micro lender Altura. What was the rationale there and the cost of acquisition?
Yes, we made Altura was a recent acquisition, but in the span of the last 12 months, we've actually made two reasonable sized acquisitions. Clearly, the big statement is that liquidity is comfortable now, and I am emphasizing big because we did have the last few months of last year and the first few months of this year when liquidity was a real challenge, and we've had to work very hard at that. But right now, liquidity, we are in a very comfortable position, and we are finding some very good assets that are available at very reasonable valuation. So it's really on our path to growth, and we've very happy and integrated on both of these acquisitions now.
Jaspal, let's also talk about the loan mix. How do you see it changing with the recent events, and what is going to be your focus area?
So I think, there is a lot of talk about the future of non-bank finance companies. I'm in the camp that the future is very bright for the very simple reason that the demand for credit is so humongous, and without worrying about macro features or even growth, the amount of unserved and underserved credit need is so large that there is a big future for the financing business, lending business. But clearly, the approach to lending will have to change. I think the simple arbitrage formula that non-bank finances companies were adopting is no longer going to give scale. There's obviously going to be a lot more pressure on operational efficiencies, on risk underwriting. And if people can adapt to that and embrace technology, then clearly there will be a great future. And that's how we are planning our own mix. We've done a few things differently now. And now what we are doing in our lending business is really to be purely retail granular. So we lend from the smallest ticket size of rupees 20,000 per pop to 2 crores per pop as the top. So that's the place we are playing within. Of course, we do microfinance, affordable housing, MSME, supply chain, all within that.
Outlook on your AUM growth guidance. What's the target in place for FY20?
So we haven't put ourselves a real target, because the challenge with putting yourself a target in these conditions, both with liquidity challenges and asset quality challenges, is that you might force yourself into a situation. So we are more looking at good quality growth, and that's why the acquisitions, as much as organic growth option, we are keeping open. But we are having a steady growth now, and we are back to where we were pre the September 2018 growth rates. And since we are well capitalized, we are comfortable. Our leverage is only 2:1 today, so we have the runway to keep growing at a reasonably fast clip. But honestly, we are at a low base. We are about 2,000 crore asset size, so percentages are deceptive as of now, but we are looking for steady growth.
further inorganic growth opportunities? What is going to be your broad strategy for growth ahead?
Well, yeah, we're going to continue to explore inorganic. In fact, at any point in time, we are studying several possibilities. We've been doing that for the last 2 years. We've hit upon 3 acquisitions so far. We hope we will hit a few more in the coming year. But they are binary events, so difficult to predict how many, what size, when.
Okay, fair enough. And how are you assessing the overall environment, in light of the kind of NBFC crisis that we've seen unfold? Do you believe that that systemic risk continues to prevail, or that the liquidity situation, credit growth has improved over the, over this time frame?
So I think there's been gradual improvement for sure. I think we are finding that if you are more retail, granular retail, then liquidity is much easier to come by. It's clearly more challenging for the wholesale operators or for people in real estate concentration. But I think one has to be nimble at this stage. Co-lending has to be one large way of funding resource. I think collaboration has to be another with fintech companies, with banks, etc. So clearly that will be the mantra, I think, going forward. I think having sufficient capital, we have only relied at Centrum only on bank term loans, so we have not suffered any ALM challenge. But as we grow, we'll have to continue to find new sources of funding for that. I think the big challenge or the big way forward is that it is no longer going to be sufficient just to practice corporate governance at a high standard, but actually to evidence it and to make oneself accountable to lenders, to rating agencies, to investors on that front.
Okay. And what is the outlook on your credit growth for the company specifically, given the kind of backdrop that you just spoke of?
Well, I can't share any numbers. We have our board meeting day after, but I feel that with the liquidity position having improved, and as I said before, we're very comfortable. I think we can think of a positive trend on that front. It's, if you look at the economy overall, it is such a contradictory situation because on the one hand, banks and mutual funds and high net worth individuals, family offices are flush with liquidity, but there's degrowth in credit. We look at the stock markets and we see recent days, we see peaks have formed on the Nifty and stock BSE, Sensex, etc. But clearly it is concentrated in a few stocks, and there's been an extreme flight to quality at the cost of the broader market. We look at wealth accumulation. There's a lot of wealth accumulated, but clearly the spending reluctance is very high. So consumption demand is suffering, which of course has inventory creation, low utilization of capacity, and then job consequences, etc. So it is a challenging circumstances, but I think the opportunity is still intact. And hopefully we will get to the other side sooner than later.
Thanks very much for sharing with us the outlook on the company, the overall environment, as well as your plans with respect to selling stake in the credit vertical. Jaspal Bindra there of the Centrum Group.